When we think of therapy, we usually picture a quiet office, maybe a comfy couch. But these days, for millions of people, that's all changing. Therapy is now happening through a video call, a text message, or even an email. Mental health support is going digital, and that's a huge shift. So what do we gain from this, and what might we be losing when our therapist is on the other side of a screen? Let's dive in and explore the world of e-counseling.
I mean, we've all been there, right? Life is just busy. The demands pile up, and the idea of trying to find time to get to a therapist's office can feel like just one more thing on an impossible to-do list. And on top of that, let's be honest, there can still be a bit of a stigma that holds people back from actually walking through that door.
But what if that support could meet you exactly where you are, right in your home, on your own schedule? Well, that's really the big promise of e-counseling. It's this modern approach that uses technology to try and break down some of those old traditional barriers to getting care.
Okay, so what is it exactly? Well, to put it simply, e-counseling is just getting professional guidance from a qualified practitioner through some form of electronic communication, instead of sitting in the same room. Think of it as therapy delivered right through the tech you use every day.
Now, e-counseling generally happens in two main ways. First, you've got synchronous communication. That just means it's happening in real time. Like a video call or a live chat session where you're talking back and forth instantly. Then there's asynchronous communication, which is delayed. Think of this like sending emails or messages back and forth with your counselor. It gives both of you time to really think and reflect before hitting send.
At its heart, the biggest driving force behind e-counseling is one simple but powerful idea: access. It's all about the potential to bring therapy to way more people than ever before. And this promise of access, it translates into some really compelling advantages.
For starters, technology can completely erase distance. It connects people in rural areas, or maybe those with disabilities, to care they might not otherwise get. It offers amazing convenience and privacy. And yeah, it can even be more affordable sometimes. And with things like email therapy, it offers something traditional therapy just can't: that built-in time to pause and really compose your thoughts before you share them.
This leads to a really fascinating psychological thing that happens online called the disinhibition effect. It turns out the sort of anonymity of being behind a screen can make people feel more comfortable and open up way faster. This means they might express themselves more freely and get to the core of their issues more quickly than they would if they were sitting face to face.
So far, this all sounds pretty fantastic, right? And this is a big but, the convenience of technology comes with its own set of very serious trade-offs. And that brings us to the crucial question: is a digital connection really a perfect substitute for a human one?
Okay, so while technology definitely solves some big problems, it also creates a bunch of new ones. We have to take a serious look at what gets lost in translation when therapy moves from a physical room into a virtual space.
And here it is. This is probably the single biggest challenge. In a text message or an email, a therapist can't see your body language. They can't hear the tone of your voice or pick up on all those little visual cues that communicate so much about how we're really feeling. I mean, that is a massive loss of really important information. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, how does a therapist handle a serious crisis if a client is feeling suicidal and they're hundreds of miles away? How do you even know for sure who you're talking to online? And then you've got all the practical stuff. What happens if the internet cuts out during a really critical moment? Or the security risks, like what if sensitive emails get hacked or sent to the wrong person? These are not small issues.
All of these challenges lead us straight into what you could call a really complex ethical maze. For e-counseling to be safe, for it to be effective, practitioners have a huge responsibility to navigate all of this very, very carefully.
For this to work safely, there are a few ethical pillars that are just non-negotiable. First, privacy has to be everything. Communications need to be protected with tools like encryption. Second, you have to verify identity on both sides of the screen. And third, and this is so important, the client has to give informed consent. That means they need to fully understand all the potential risks and benefits before a single session ever starts.
But here's the thing that's pretty concerning. Some studies that have looked at e-therapy websites have found that very few of them actually talk about the limits of their confidentiality, and even fewer explain how they store your sensitive treatment records. That kind of lack of transparency is a major red flag for anyone who's looking for help online. So, after weighing this incredible promise of access against some really serious risks, where does that leave us with e-counseling? Is this really the future of mental health care? When you boil it all down, e-counseling is a powerful tool, for sure, but it is absolutely not a simple replacement for traditional therapy. Its success and its safety depend completely on having well-trained professionals who are following strict ethical guidelines. It's probably best to see it as a supplement, not a substitute, a really promising option that has to be handled with a ton of care.
And that leaves us with one last big thought to consider. At its core, therapy is built on trust and human connection. As technology keeps reshaping how we get mental health care, the biggest challenge we face might not be technical at all. It might be deeply, deeply human. How do we build and maintain that essential trust when there's a screen between us?